Interns, Elise and Sam. Have I missed any one? No? Bo, where's Bo? Hi, oh, Bo's here. Bo's one of our editors. He's not an intern anymore. So, welcome everybody. We are up to open mic night number 61. We should have had a bigger party at 60. We had a pretty big party, didn't we? Really? So, happy birthday to me. But also to Richard, because Richard's birthday was on Saturday. So we might sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you. Hooray! 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 50? Are you 50 now? Yeah.
Not quite. I'm a couple more than you guys.
Any more? I'm one. What are you talking about? I'm starting again.
I've got my number up in the back window, which worries me.
Oh, yeah.
Not even sure how you knew.
Maybe Kev did.
Yeah.
Any other birthdays?
I'll have to check him out.
It's our oldest son's today as well. He's 26.
Yep.
Yeah. So happy birthday if your birthday was recently. So we have 15 names on the list, and I like to mix it up a bit. So if you put your name first, thinking you're going to be first, doesn't necessarily happen like that because it depends on what you're reading. I like to mix it up. As I said, it will go on YouTube, so if you don't want to be on YouTube for whatever reason, please let Kev know so he can either stop filming while you're on or cut it out in editing process. I would say that watching yourself read is actually really good practice for a writer because you can see how you present, for one, but also you can listen to what you're reading and see if it actually works well or not. It's actually a really good way of improving your writing. I have some exciting news. So, who has read Lazarus's book Pride? Yes. Well, we have exciting news. Next month, and it was a secret for a while, but we've been told we can tell people. Next month, Les is going to Brisbane to pitch to a production company. So that's pretty exciting. I'm going with him just to have fun. I am the publisher, but any movie rights or any screen rights or whatever Les will get won't have anything to do with us, but we will still brag about it. Now, this book is actually coming out in a new form around May, June this year. Is that when we said, or did we say April? June. This is the new look. So it's the same story, but adapted a little bit to a younger audience. We took a bit of sex out, which probably will annoy them. So it's got a new name. So this book tonight is going to be our door prize because it's a limited edition. Is it? Because now we're going to be having that one out. So look out for that. And keep your ticket if you want it. Well, if you've read it, then maybe give it to someone. What else? We'll talk about news as we go along. Okay. We might start with David Russell.
How long have we got?
Oh, sorry. 4 minutes. Sorry, David. I know you had a longer piece, but there's too many readers.
That's right.
So, welcome, David. I don't know if you decided what he's going to read.
If anybody hasn't heard Garrison, Keillor, I recommend that they Google him and listen to some of the things that are on YouTube, some of his stories. He tells a wonderful story, but it would take 15 minutes to read it. I have a poem and I have an article from Backchat in the Age, Saturday Age Good Weekend. There's a man called Paul Connolly, and he writes a simple story they're called kitchen sink dramas, And they are quite funny, I think. And for somebody to be able to, in one paragraph, take an idea and write a funny story about it, I think is quite good. But I'll just read you this, and then I'll read you my poem, The Last Camel Train. This one's called Jelly Beans. Testing the urban myth, Trent and Michelle put a jelly bean in a jar every time they made love during the first year of marriage. After just one frenzied month, the jar was overflowing. Another jar was called for, then another. By year's end, there were 8 jars jostling on their dresser. They could now remove a jelly bean every time they made love and supposedly never empty the jars. Too right, they thought. They were spent. So they ate the jelly beans in record time. When they woke up from their sugar coma, it was with a lifetime of memories. he does that every week. He writes a story like that, and they are funny, and they're one paragraph. In 2002, it was the year of the Outback, and we happened to be in the Outback. We were at Cooperpedy, I think, and we saw that the last camel train was going to leave from Woodnadatta and take the mail up to Alice Springs. And in fact, it didn't take the mail because we saw them offload it from the camels and put it on the bus. But it was a big do in Woodnadatta. Everybody in Woodnadatta was there, which is probably 20 or 30 people. And so I wrote this poem. 'Twas from Woodnadatta station that the camel train departed, 500 miles of desert to traverse, and the camels were disgusting as they coughed and spat and farted, and the camel ears were just as bad, or worse. All the dried and crusty tourists from places far and wide had come to Woodnadatta overnight, and dignitaries from everywhere had come down for the ride, and the locals watched the chaos with delight. From Alice Springs the Emir came to say a prayer or two, all dressed in black, a sort of Afghan Zorro. But the Cameliers were not impressed, because they already knew that he'd be safe and sound in Alice Springs tomorrow. But they'd be out there in the desert, far away from all their friends, the wrong side of the dingo fence at night. And as they trudged along all day, a view of stinking camels' ends that would haunt their dreams and make them wake in fright. More speeches at the station while the crowd just stood around, and then Ted Egan took the stand to say, "Let's sing the national anthem." 'Twas a mighty roaring sound, and we wished them well and shouted, "Hip hooray!" Then they were gone, and we were left, an empty barren scene where we stood around in stifling dust and heat, with nothing but our memories to show that they had been there, and camel droppings all along the street.
Wayne Bell, the timer. So Les has got the timer up there, 4 minutes.
Didn't read?
No, you were well within it. I don't know, what did he get up to?
3:17.
Oh, close. So at 3.5 minutes, Les will double ding to give you warning that you have 30 seconds. Or is it the other? Yeah. And then one ding at 4 minutes. And we don't have our guard dog on tonight. So there's no one to sick you off the stage. Bo Hillier is going to read a story. Untitled Vignette. Welcome, Bo.
Hello everyone. This is just a small vignette I've written lately. I'm still debating whether it's got enough legs in it to become a longer story, but for now it is what it is. Rick's been coming over an awful lot. Sometimes he brings his kid Kyle, a stretched out string bean who wears his quirky youth as such an all-pervading aura that his words seem like another language. His very presence seems alien. I land around with Kyle because it gives me something to do other than talk to Rick. Kyle goes on YouTube binges, plugged into his phone while chasing a momentary fad down some rabbit hole, sometimes offering commentary when the oldies are paying attention. Just watched Bill Bailey playing the Star-Spangled Banner in a minor key was his latest discovery. It's pretty cool. I don't have the courage to admit I have no idea who Bill Bailey is. My brother Rick sits in the corner as we play act social mingling, him eternally with the glass of water in his hand, the lines on his face writing out the same unspoken statement every time he visits. I wish this were a beer. Considering what Rick's been through lately, the statement is probably justified. Too bad I don't drink, and I could never remember to keep a few in the fridge for the next time he drops by uninvited. He says little else there on my couch, stewing in his moods. Coming over does seem to help him, but talking is burdensome between us. although that's the dynamic we've always had anyway. We mumble about our days and sometimes touch upon the real major things going on in our lives. They're little crescendos of conversation. The rest is silence. I turn to Kyle. What were you saying before about Bob Bailey's? Kyle rolls his eyes. He knows I'm playing it up by mispronouncing the name, but he humours me all the same. He shares an earpiece with me and reloads the short video. Turns out Bill Bailey's a comedian. Seems to favour music-themed material. The video in question is his bit on the difference between music played in major and minor keys. The audience goes wild for Bill when he transposes the US national anthem, taking a major key triumph piece and turning it into a minor key maudlin affair. He makes it seem effortless, although despite my ignorance on music, I can guess he probably had to massage the exact notes and melody a little bit to get to the desired effect. But it seems to take so little to switch and transpose the mood and effect. One piece of music, multiple diverging effects depending on treatment and performance. There's a lesson in that, which is all well and good. But I look at Rick on my couch with his knuckles white as they clutch the glass of water, and I realise that all the wisdom in the world, all the overtures of armchair philosophy, born from YouTube epiphanies no less, can sometimes be less a magic curing wand and more just a flimsy blunt object. Want me to go out and get some beers, I ask? Rick just shrugs. Thank you.
Jonathan, this is the first time he's been here tonight, and he has got a monologue, a meeting with Mr. Fate. Yes?
Hello, as she has mentioned, it's my first time here tonight. Yeah, I'm actually a bit of an amateur writer. It's like I've written a lot of different things, like mostly like flash fiction, short stories. This is one of the few monologues I've written. So I'm just trying to feel around what my particular genre would be. So yeah, this is just one of the things I've written. And by the way, not all of them are this depressing. So. Okay, let me just start. Hello, Mr. Fate. Right on schedule. Do you prefer Mr. or Miss or it? After all, you are far too powerful to be contained within our own concepts of gender. Oh, never mind. How are you? Thank you for coming, and I hope not to take too much of your time. I know you're a busy man. I just have one question to ask. What is wrong with you? Yes, that is the question. What is wrong with you? Because I don't understand anything that you do. Do you realize how much pain, how much hurt you have predestined for people to go through? It would have been better if you didn't exist, or if you just didn't care about us. After all, us humans rarely care about anything other than ourselves. No, you do claim to care about us. You claim to care about us more than the animals or the insects. So what is the purpose of any of this? Why did you predestine Vincent van Gogh to suffer his entire life for doing the right thing, when only to kill himself in the end? Why did you allow Martin Luther King to just get murdered after all the good he did? Do you think about all the innocent children who cry out for help every day only to just die? Do you think about all the people who suffer hellish lives simply because of where they were born? You don't, do you? You're too busy giving this person a job, or that person a car, or this person an absurd amount of money. Apparently, these people are far more deserving according to you. What is the point of any of this? What is the purpose? What is the grand plan? Why aren't you saying anything? Yeah, that's basically it, yes. Yeah, sorry, that was very depressing. I said not all of them are like this, so yeah. Alright, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Marcello is going to continue his Genostra story. Is this correct?
Yes. By the way, I'm very excited this week about Genostra in the island where I was born nearby, Salina, because the European Union named those 2 islands 2 of 6 islands in the Mediterranean Sea for being an avant-garde of clean energy. And I'm very happy because when I lived in Genostra, that's all there was, clean energy. There was nothing, as you will know. So I'm very happy that both places are the avant-garde, basically in the world, where we can obtain alternative clean energy and still have a very successful tourism.
It helps when you've got a built-in furnace.
Well, yes. Well, the volcano helps out. Well, it did help. So, as you know, some might remember, in 2000 I was talking to this Italian actor, director, and who ran this satirical show, and he said, you lived in Genostra. I'd like to know what life was like in those days, in the early 50s. I said, look, I haven't got much time. I said, when I go back, I'll send you some material. Send you a couple of emails, which I did, and he replied. And then he said, look, let's catch up next year. When I go back, you go back there, and we'll see what we can do, which we did. So in 2001 we met. And he liked some of the stories. In particular, there was one that really intrigued him. He didn't believe it was true, but it was all true. And he said, look, to cut a long story short, I'd like to buy the idea, and then I'll develop my own way to suit my program. I said, all right, so we reached an agreement. And then when I come back, and about 6 months later, I get an email saying, oh, look, I've just been in touch with this French director, producer, who is interested in doing a film on Genostra, at Genostra, written by us, and the actor would be Harvey Keitel and the lady, Andy McDowell. I said, all right, fair enough, nothing to do with me. So they did the film. It came in, and then what they did, they produced a mafia type of a film involving the FBI, the Italian intelligence, and intrigue galore, which had nothing to do with what I told him, but some parts did. And the main character was a dead body which had been preserved in sea salt. And this has happened to me when I got to Genostra about 6 months later. One day somebody died, and there was no one there with a coffin or anything. We'd have to get the coffin from from another island. So they put him in this bath of salt, sea salt, to preserve it. So they put that in the film. At the same time that the film came out, in America, the FBI found 2 or 3 bodies preserved in salt. So they started getting in touch. They wanted to find out who had given the idea to these people about the salt, preserving the body in salt. So they said, well, such and such, Machalani from Australia and all the rest, which I did. So next year when I went in Rome, because I get stopped by the Italians, said, look, you've been caught. I said, look, so I told them the story, they were laughing all the rest. And at some time, I was going to Canada. So I came home. To go to Canada, I had to go through Honolulu. So because you go through Honolulu, when you get to Vancouver, you got to go through the American set up there, and that's when I got caught by the FBI. So I'll tell the full story later on. But all of a sudden in Genostra, that there was about 40 people living there, there was a cast and crew of about 150. So for 2 months, there was this huge, which I think did more damage. But the dead body preserved in sea salt was true. But because of that, and what had happened in Boston actually, that I found those dead bodies. So when I thought that I had something to do with it. That's all the idea. I think I'm up. But next time I'll tell you what actually happened. Well, I'm not telling you. Anything I might believe in. I'm not a Sicilian for nothing.
Mafiosa.
Yes.
On your seat, most seats I think had a flyer for our Barley Retreat happening in June. I'm so excited about this. If you know someone who might be interested, I would love for you to share this, give it to them as a gift from me. This is going to be awesome. 6 days in Ubud in Bali. And we are going to be writing books and actually, really getting stuck into it. So many people struggle with time to write, and we're hoping that in this 6 days we can really get stuck into it and get people not necessarily finishing it, but they could if we really make a good plan, but to really get stuck into it and see that their project can come together. So that's happening in June. Rosemary. I love a good rant. Rosemary's going to have a rant. And her rant is called Incommunicado. Yes. So welcome.
I get most of my writing ideas in the shower. And when that happens, I have to quickly turn off the taps and open the door and step on the bath mat and do the bath mat shuffle to my towel and quickly get to the laptop so I can write down the ideas before I forget it. The first thing you do is, of course, you call them when you have a problem, and you get this recorded voice who answers your responses, but pretty much what your ex-husband used to say to you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you please repeat it? Except he didn't say I'm sorry, because love means never having to say you're sorry. And so you listen to all the questions that they have for you, and she always cheerfully responds, thanks for that, and gives you the next question, which is basically your full name, which you haven't even divulged to your children. And then your date of birth, and really do you want to openly acknowledge that? Especially if you're in the office where you have people sitting right next to you, and so you sort of mumble it and they say, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, can you repeat that? And so you mumble it again, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, can you repeat that? And then you yell it, and then the whole damn building knows how old you are. And then they put you on a recorded system, and you hear Otmar Liebert playing yet another guitar's flamenco tune that you used to love at one point, but now you want to strangle him. And then you finally get a real person online who asks you all the questions that you had previously answered before. So that was the phone chat. But there is also online chats, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I once had this incredible, oh my gosh, I think I'm going beyond time, this incredible online conversation with, let's call them Telstras, to be very diplomatic about it, and it basically went like this. So I had a problem. Julius, hi, how can I help you? Sorry, that was a deep voice. Hi, how can I help you? Me, hi, I'm having problems with voicemail. My name is Rosemary, my phone number is blah, 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 my date of birth is blah, 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 and my account number is blah, blah, blah. Julius, hi, how can I help you? Hi, my name is Rosemary, and my blah, 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 blah. Julius, agent is typing. Kim, hi, how can I help you? Me, hey, who are you? I was just talking to Julius. Ken, I don't know what you mean. Why are the two of you talking to me online? Ken, agent is typing. Julius, hi, are we still connected? Me, oh, here's Julius back on now. What's going on, Telstras? Kim, I'm only seeing you, and do you have two window chats open? Me, I'm using my phone, there's only one window on it. Please, can you call me? Kim, unfortunately, we are a chat dedicated team, and we have a different team for phone customers. If you want, I can call and connect you to them. Me, yes, please, this is getting ridiculous. Julius, I haven't heard from you in a while. Would you like to continue our chat? Ken, can you give me at least your number or your name so that we can sort this out? Me, I did that before. Hey, why not again? Rosemary Gillen, blah, 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 blah. Julius, since I haven't heard from you for quite some time, we'll end this chat. Me, Kim, are you there? Kim, agent is typing. Judith. Hello. How can I help you? What? Now there's a third Telstra person online? Judith, I'm sorry. Hello. Can I help? Where's Cam? Where's Julius? Who are you, Judith? Sorry, no carriage return. Cam, I haven't heard from you in quite a while. Would you like me to continue this chat? I'm here, Cam. Where are you? Judith, hello. Are you there? Cam, since I haven't heard from you for quite some time, we'll end this chat. No, don't go. Judith, I haven't heard from you in a while. Would you like to continue the chat? Yes! Telstras, your chat has been disconnected. Thank you for using Telstras.
Thank you, Rosemary. Steve, the gutter is going to do a song parody. Come on up.
I promise it'll be the last time for a while. I think last time I was here I did a couple of song parodies. And when I did the book launch for, this is our book, Live Your Truth, a few of the authors are in the room. I did a song for that as well. So this song, even though it was Valentine's Day last week, this is sort of a love song. Well, it's based on a love song. It's not really a love song. Have we got any Nat King Cole fans in the room? Well, you're going to hate me for this. So this is called If I Fall in Love. If I fall in love, please come round and beat me. For I should never fall in love in a messed up world like this is. Love is something I can do without, and though pleasant, moonlight kisses lead to grief in the dawn of the sun. If I give my heart, it had best stop beating, so I'll never give my heart. And the moment that you feel that I may love someone new, please come round and beat me black and blue. Thank you very much. Oh, comedy stuff, yes, comedy. Yeah, I mean, from these open mic things, I started. I was originally reading for my unpublished novel, but then I started doing some funny stories. Because I found it hard when you're trying to. It's hard to deliver a novel in 4-minute vignettes. So from that led me to try out some open mic comedy. So I've been going to places like Club Voltaire in North Melbourne, and I went there a few times last year. Then I entered the Raw Comedy competition for the comedy festival. So I had my heat the end of January. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to the semi-finals, but it's been an interesting experience. I'm still trying that out. Was at Voltaire again last Friday, and I'll probably go there this Friday again. So Club Voltaire, anyone who shows up will always get a spot. So sometimes you're there till about 11:30 at night. But it's been a really fun experience.
Where is Voltaire?
Voltaire is in Raglan Street in North Melbourne. It's sort of behind the comedy club. And it's just a little place you wander upstairs, and it's all free. They just take donations, and it's mainly young comedians trying out their stuff, and a few frustrated 56-year-old engineers trying comedy as well.
The old folks.
Yeah. Go.
Sorry, Stephen said there's a few of us in the room who are in this book. So Stephen, Michelle, Jackie's hiding, and myself. Is anyone else? No, can't see anyone else. So this is for sale if anyone wants to buy it, and you can get people to sign it if they're in the room. Inspiring stories. Richard Trembath is going to read some poetry.
Now, I don't know how I'm going to go for time, because usually I time these in the afternoon and I know exactly what's going on. But I'll just have to hope that the bell ringer doesn't get me. Anyway, I'll do 2 poems, one old and one new. One's about probably 45 years old and the other one's probably about 45 days old. Anyway, the first one is In the Velvet Night. The sky is clear tonight, the moon is full, and all the stars twinkle bright against the backdrop of the velvet night. And I am here with you, content to be alone together and to share the glory of the night, the stars, the murmur of the breeze, the peace, tranquility of this night shared. This night so brief, an instant in our lives, but so important because of its perfection and the fact that we are here together, without which perfection could not be. The stars were there before us and will be long after we are gone, and they shall shine on other lovers yet to be, but they shall shine on none enraptured more than we. And there shall be no night more perfect than this night, no love to rival what we share, and no stars shining brighter than our love. The night is wondrous and the stars, but we are too inclined to take them all for granted, our inherent right, and only lovers ever stop to think of what they are and what they mean, and why we see them now beneath the black and velvet sky, and why we are together, I with you and you with me. What right have we to be so much more happy than the rest of all mankind? What miracle did first decree that we should both be born in this same era, this same land, that our lone paths should cross and then converge, that we should be as one, not just in body, but in mind and spirit, one. No longer two alone, but one in attitude and thought and aim, and one in all we do. How can it be that we should be as perfect as the night, and yet we are, and know we are, and know that glorious though the night may be, it pales and dulls beside the lustre of our love. 'Tis hard to realise that when we disappear back whence we came, our love shall not remain to outshine stars on other nights, that all we really have is here and now, that we must grasp it, savour it, for though it last our lifetimes, it is as a new-picked rose, whose beauty lingers but a moment, then is gone. And other loves shall come beneath these stars, this clear and cloudless sky and this same moon, long after we are gone. But they shall not surpass what we have here, nor near approach the wonder of this night. And we can wish them nothing greater than that they should know a moment of the tranquil night, that they should be in love as much as we, and share what we have shared. Have I got a minute?
Yeah, 35 seconds. About 30 seconds.
You better start reading.
He's a hard man.
Read.
This is called The Final Page. Write to me one day and tell me of the second half. Can I start that again, Mr. Bellringer? The final page. Write to me one day and tell me of the second half. Though we have gone our separate ways to live our separate lives, I know enough of yours to feel that I've read half the book. And though it is no longer mine to read, I think of you occasionally and wonder what the unread chapters hold. But even if I were to find the book and learn somehow where life has taken you, I know I'd never really know the whole of it, your hidden mystery. And I am well aware that there would be no point in skipping through the unseen chapters to find just how the story ends. For it will end as we both knew it would, still unresolved. The final page is missing.
Gay, if you want to get ready, you can be after the next person. Rose, number 2. Rose Chappell has a short story called Speed Dating.
Which I think I should dedicate to you. I felt awkward going to speed dating for the first time. It isn't easy to find a suitable partner when you're in your 50s. Too much baggage accumulated during a lifetime of experiences. I'd tried to shed some, of course, both from the body and the mind, but I wasn't sure how successful I'd been. And of course I had strict requirements. I had searched 3 continents for a suitable partner: Malaysia for a prince, the UK for a guardsman in a Busby, and Canada for a Mountie, all to no avail. Then some friends, tired of my whinging, had recommended this service. Several of them had made suitable matches this way, though I personally wouldn't have selected any of their choices. My male had to have intelligence, charm and good looks. I know I'm fussy, that's the problem, but I also preferred the more hirsute. I loved lying in bed, tracing a finger through thick chest hair, his not mine, gently combing through facial fuzz. Waiting nervously, I decided this would be my one and only time. If I wasn't successful, then I would just walk away from romance. I waited in the small reception room for the lady to bring in the candidates. The door opened with number 1. First impression, promising. Not promising, sorry. Long nose, fine flyaway dark hair, brown eyes, nice eyes, but no spark between us. I shook my head. Next came a specimen with long brown hair, but carrying far too much weight. I am no sylph, but I just couldn't imagine the 2 of us together. He was quite handsome, and I hesitated. Was second best good enough? I could always ask him to come back. I still had 2 to go. Third was a blonde, not my favourite hair colour, but it was thick and there was plenty of chest hair. He looked up at me from under long lashes and smiled infectiously. I felt a spark. Maybe this was it. All the blonde jokes jumped into my mind and I firmly pushed them away. Surely not all blondes were dumb. I shook my head. The door opened with my last possibility. At first I was excited. Red, curly hair, tall, dignified. This one deserved to go to the second level. But then, horror of horrors, he smiled at me and his teeth were all yellow like he chewed tobacco. Yuck. The woman in charge of the matching process sighed as I sent the last one out. I felt guilty at the time she'd wasted on me, but I did want to check out numbers 2 and 3 again. I wouldn't mind meeting the 3rd one. He seemed to have most things I'm looking for, and maybe the 2nd one, I said. She shuffled her feet a little. I have to tell you something, ma'am. I'm really sorry, but the 3rd one, and she lowered her voice, is actually female. I was furious. Why is she here then? Why waste my time? I asked her into the lineup because apart from being female, she does have everything else you put on your list. I thought for a minute. When you hit your 50s, surely companionship is the most important thing in a relationship. If we got on well, would that be enough? If we lay side by side in bed, could we just be friends? Let me meet her. I took the plunge. Moments later, the door opened and she came in. First meetings are always awkward, but we both sat and shook hands. There was an anxious silence. She smiled at me just as she had in the inspection round. Then without warning, she jumped up and her tongue was in my mouth. I pushed her off with both hands. Sit! What do you think you're doing? She sat and rolled over, 4 paws in the air, submitting to my orders. Yes, this would be the one.
Thank you. The 4-legged ones are much less work, aren't they? All right. We have Gay. She's getting ready for something. Is she ready? So Gay is... I don't know.
I'm having a bad hair day. I'm having a bad everything, really. Bad dress day, bad hair day. I could tell you some stories. I'll tell you if I had a long time, if I could persuade Les to let me go on forever. However, I'll settle for a bad hair day. And a bad white linen pants, linen trousers day. I'll tell you about that first. The white linen trousers are off tomorrow. Thank you. Not to the op shop. They must not be on show. The rubbish bin is the best place, as no one will see the trousers that caused such embarrassment to me. When I bought them several years ago, white linen was all the rage, the go, but from the start, problems began. They were so loose, they fell down if I ran. Then one evening, my sweet and I walked the pier as night crept over the sky. Fishermen sat silently waiting. Squid was the catch they were baiting. We returned to the car when it started to rain. That's when we saw my pants were covered in black stain. My man said I'd been squirted by squid. That's insane. Squirted by squid. Who walks a pier and gets squirted by squid? There were no warning signs about squirting squids. I didn't even know that's what they did. My man got the stain out with neat white king, but this was replaced by some nasty yellowing. Alas, the trousers still have to go, because yesterday I saw my reflection in a shop window. The pants were huge. That was a shock. I resembled a white fridge with a head on top. So the white linen trousers are into the bin tonight, and all will be as it should, with no ink in sight. That's the end. You can clap now. I really do think that a husband has a responsibility if his wife looks like a white fridge to tell her. Don't you think?
Yes.
Well, I did. I think that the trousers were about this wide, and I never looked at myself side on. I have no necessity to look at myself side on. I know exactly what I look like on the face, and that's all I need to know. As long as the face is together, though sometimes that happens that my face is not together, like the day he missed seeing me before he went out, and I'd put my eyeliner on and it was my eyebrows, because I've lost them. I have to paint them on every morning. Well, I put it on with a blue brush instead of a brown one, so I had blue eyebrows, which wasn't a good look really. But never mind, he has to learn, doesn't he, to check me out every morning before I leave. Well, thank you very much. I'll finish there. Hairbrush.
You don't need it.
Thank you, Kay.
Everybody here.
Jaci Richards is going to give us some useful info. You are okay just as you are.
I shall read this evening. Okay. I'm reading an interesting book at the moment. Anybody heard of Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a... Yes. Once you get beyond the initial chapters where the F word is used too much for my liking, there is actually some useful advice for being more self-aware, giving yourself a break from beating yourself up, especially when things don't go as planned. Essentially, you're okay just as you are. Yes, you may not be totally happy with where you're at, how your life's looking at this particular moment. The thing to remember is that we are all a work in progress. There's no such thing as perfect. So if you're not happy with where you're at, because life is not as perfect as you feel it should be, then it's probably because you've set your standards against an ideal that isn't realistic or practical. It's taken me a while and numerous therapy sessions to get where I am now. And I'm in a place where I can say that my life is pretty good. Primarily, this is because I've taken responsibility for myself, stopped blaming others for the bad things that happened in my life, and yes, bad things have happened. If you've read my chapter in the book Live Your Truth, you'll know this is true. However, By taking responsibility for my life's challenges and making use of the Reiki teachings I now have to support me, I can experience all emotions and come out more objective and pragmatic. Situations don't hold a heavy weight in my heart like they used to. I still get upset, I still get angry, but I don't internalise these emotions and let them run the show. I accept them, take heed of what's really going on deep inside me, realising when I'm revisiting old stuff that needs a bit more attention to let it go. And I can do all this in a place of self-acceptance because I choose my emotions and responses more consciously than in the past. And it's been a significant part of my healing journey. I'm now going to start my next Reiki workshop. Okay? So learning Reiki can support you with getting to a place where you're more accepting of where you're at. I teach Reiki in small groups with practical, down-to-earth methods so you can feel competent in everything that you learn. There's plenty of hands-on practice, so you go away feeling confident, competent in using the techniques that you learned through the workshop. I started learning Reiki thinking this will just support me with my stress levels, and now I teach. It's changed my life completely. My next workshop is in April, and if you're interested, I've put a few flyers on some tables and you can have a chat with me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Sam. Sam's screen. Sam is going to read a poem, Some of My Parts.
I promised myself I won't make excuses or explain this away, so I'm just going to read it. I am only some of my parts. I am selfless. In my bitter search for selfless, I am nameless. I am bitter. I am pieces of a process. I am timeless. I am undressed, wearing one breast as a talisman against impending progress. I feel dangerous. I wish that felt like fearlessness. I thought I was the better part of softness. Is that weakness? Or did I mistake myself for someone else's kindness? These words are laid out bare, with bare mattresses and sundresses and caresses I once knew, but know no more. I wish I walked a fearsome shore and never flinched when waves of greatness broke and crashed around me, but I've been drowning. I am weightless, borne about by bitter winds and dreams of everlasting bliss. What would you call it, happiness? I must confess that I have rippled at its feet and tasted sweetness on the bottoms of its toes. No one can know what I become when I slip quietly like rain into the sea. I am unknowable.
Thank you, Sam. Another first timer. Sam is one of our new interns. Well done. Les hassles them a little bit to read. So you're off the hook now. Elise is next.
If you recall, last time I was here, I spoke about Nairobi and I was learning to fly. Well, I got my license, and then the ballet went for 4 months to the Far East. And we went to Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, and finished up in Hong Kong. And I'll take it from there. And I went back to the Aero Club in Hong Kong, but I found out I couldn't fly without although I had my license, as I had to take the air law. So I took a few flights with an instructor, and I'll continue from there. Yeah. My instructor was an ex-captain, and I loved the excitement of going onto the runway, in line with the jumbo jets. We both realised I needed more coaching. There was no room for error, and I was happy to continue. One day we flew into the distance, several outlying green islands, bathed in sunlight against the background of the glittering deep blue ocean, far away from the claustrophobic skyscraper buildings, was mesmerising. Another time he guided me towards an inland mountain range, declaring, "This is the boundary. On the other side is communist China. If you fly over it, they'll shoot you down." I grinned and declared, "I want to live." It was almost the end of the month, and our departure to England was imminent. Inner thoughts were mixed as I realised I'd probably never return to Hong Kong. When can I fly again? Robert didn't know I was leaving the ballet. Sewing again for Joni while looking for a job was uninspiring, as was the thought of returning to Kettering for several months under my wonderful mother's constant advice. My flying skills had improved, and the problem was resolved in an unexpected way. The instructor didn't know I had to leave, and when we landed told me, "There's a flying competition at the club at the end of the week. I think you should try for it." "I'd love to do it. I'll let you know." A quizzical look spoke words. He taught me to fly in an intense business environment. Was his tutoring for nothing? How could I do it? A flight to England was booked to fly out on British Airways 2 days after our dancing contract finished, and the competition was 3 days later. Time was crucial. I rushed back to see Robert. Gail was attentive as ever, listening to every word, noting every gesture. "Robert," I implored him, frustrated he might say no, "I want to ask you a favour." Alert and staring into my eyes, his mind raced as I spoke. "There's a flying competition and I want to try to win. Can you change my ticket and let me fly back 10 days later?" I suspect his mind was stretched to the limit at this sudden news and was trying to read my thoughts. Yes, he surmised, she can't live in Hong Kong on her own. She's proved she can fly. Let her do it, and after a holiday she'll be good to dance, sew costumes and help us with her Spanish knowledge. Decision made, his eyes softened as he replied, "Okay, we'll go to Hong Kong Island in the morning. I'll introduce you to the agent and you can pay the cost to change the ticket." It was a lovely ride on the ferry with Robert over to Hong Kong Island. The agent reminded me of years ago in London when I walked off the street to find one. Sitting in a huge leather chair behind a desk, there were photos on the wall behind him. He was a plump, middle-aged Chinese man with kind eyes. Paying the extra few dollars, Robert replied, "Happy?" "Yes," I replied. "And we'll see you in Spain?" Of course I lied. Travelling with them to the airport to say goodbye was difficult, and as I gave Cherry one last hug, I knew I was going to miss her. She had no idea I'd probably never see her again. As I left, I put on a brave face and told them I watched a plane fly out from the Aero Club. It was mid-afternoon when I walked into the busy club. I knew a couple of the pilots, and when I told them what was happening, they decided to join me on the tarmac. The plane was leaving on time, and as it took off, a feeling of euphoria swept over me. I screamed and laughed and leapt into the air, free at last.
You're going to Hong Kong soon, aren't you?
Yes, thanks so much.
Pamela's going to Hong Kong on a cruise. Bit of a different holiday.
Very different.
Now, Pamela, do you need a lift tonight?
Yes,
You're right? Cool, okay. Fabulous. I don't know if anyone realises that we have some wings there, painted by Kev, and they're a lot of fun if you'd have a photo. Feel free to take a photo of yourself with the wings, it's a bit of fun. Also, if you're on Facebook and you haven't already liked Busybird Publishing, that would be great. And if you have a phone here tonight and you can check in to Busybird, that would be awesome too. Every little bit helps to let people know that we are here. Is anyone who hasn't got their name on here wanting to do something tonight? Jimmy, are you going to sing something for us?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And Sophia?
Yeah.
You want to read?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So PH. Kitty. Kitty Cheng is going to read an essay and a poem in loving memory of my father.
When facing adversity, the last thing you usually want to do is recognize that there is a way out. It takes determination and a deep belief that you can get through it. The reality of the presence of adversity of life is a given. Like adversity, death is the prediction we can make at birth that we can bank on. Everyone will die, and it is very likely somebody we love will die before we do. When that happens, the feelings of grief are recurring and go in cycle. And there is no timeline for grieving, and you can't rush it. You will grieve in some form always. One of the most memorable and heartbreaking moments in my life was the day that my father took his last breath, leaving my mum, myself, and my 2 brothers behind. We lost my dad to cancer when he was 52 and much too young to die. No matter how old you are, losing a parent takes a part of your heart you can't get back. This was a difficult time for me, and though I knew how that would end. Knowing that would happen, the heartbreak, the tears, the love, the hope, the heartbreak. Yes, it was always the heartbreak. Would I do it over? Flying back from Melbourne to Hong Kong, where I was born, and spend the last few months of my daddy's life with him? And I knew the answer is yes. Trying to overcome the heartbreaking experience was awful and seemed to take forever. I felt as if the world was carving in on me. My whole world was feeling down around me, and it was almost as if everything I had ever known was taken from me. My saving grace was my mum. Watching her and seeing her dealt with the death of her husband, a man whom she loved with all her heart, really helped me to get better. So here's a poem I wrote about facing my father's death and the grief that came after. The time we had that wasn't nearly enough to pack in an entire lifetime of love. There are so many questions that I need answers to. But now that you're gone, there is no way to ask you. But there are still photos to remember you by. Every time I look at them, I still want to cry. They say grief is easy to bear as time goes by, and it doesn't stop me from wondering why. There are no answers to a question like this, so I'll cherish your memory and mourn the years we'll miss. I was only 14 years old when Mum and I witnessed your death. I didn't fully know what it meant. I felt numb and I cried. I didn't know how big a hole your passing would leave. I didn't understand how much loneliness I was about to receive. As the years have gone by, I've forgotten a few things, like the sound of your voice and how your laughter used to ring. There have been thousands of times when I wished you were still here to celebrate all of my joys and help me calm my fears. I've spent more of my life without you than with you, is sad to say, but I want you to know that I still love you. And I think about you always. Years may come and go, but your memory will never be erased.
Michelle Burke. I didn't actually do that on purpose.
Oh my God. Hi, I'm Michelle Burke from Being Connected. Thank you, Kitty. That was beautiful. And for those who don't know me, I lost my husband. It was 33 months today, actually. But losing Paul, that was his name, I went travelling 9 weeks in 2017 with a cardboard cutout of him. A promise I made to him on his deathbed when he said to me, Michelle, what are you going to do when I'm gone? And I said, I'm going to go travelling with you. And he says, what? And he said, I'm going to go travelling. I said, I'm going to get a cardboard cutout. I don't know what it was. It was a photo or something, but, the cardboard cutout morphed into something later on. But I said, I'm going to get a photo of you or something, and we're going to travel to all the places that we were planning on travelling to. My number one spot was Paris, and we wanted to go to Ireland and England. So 2017, would have been about 12 months after he passed away, I planned a trip on the basis of going to see Paul McCartney in New York. I'm a big Beatles fan and Paul McCartney fan, because I thought he's not going to come to Australia. He was 76 and he's not coming. Yeah, after I booked, quite a lot, spent a lot of money on a trip, he came to Australia, which I went and saw him twice anyway. But, so I haven't got Cardboard Paul at the moment because, big news flash, I've just ordered 2 new Cardboard Pauls because he's in pieces. He's got gaffer tape around him, if anyone's seen the photos, and I actually might put one on from the Busybird Facebook. And if you follow Facebook Conversations with Paul, there's photos of him all around the world. He's the most travelled cardboard cutout in the world. So I've ordered 2 new cardboard cutouts, one in his wedding suit, which is the one I've travelled with, and an older version, so I've got the old and the new. So it'll be interesting to see which one I take out. We're going to take out on a hot date, but anyway. So also, a part of that travelling, I wrote a book, and it's called #Travelling with Cardboard Paul. It's with Busybird at the moment. It's with an editor, and I'm hoping to launch it in May. So I'm looking at May the 20th, which is Paul's anniversary. It will be his 3rd year anniversary. So we're looking to launch it then. So I thought, well, if I've got a little bit of time, I want to just tell a little story about... I went on a tour around the California tour, and we had 46 people on that tour. Most Australians and a few from overseas. So we had Judy, who was our tour guide, and we're in Vegas and we're going to a show that night. So we all got on the bus going to this Las Vegas show, and she said, "Michelle," and I said, "Yes," and she said, "You're Cardboard Paul on the bus?" And I said, "No, I've left him in the room. He's lying down relaxing and just chilling out because we've had a hard day on the bus." And she said, "Well, I've asked the organiser of this show, and we were having dinner, if we could take Cardboard Paul with us." I'm going, "Why would we take Cardboard Paul?" And she said, "I asked if we could take him." I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "But the man was confused because he has never been asked whether a cardboard cutout can come to a Las Vegas show." So it was so that was Paul. Cardboard Paul has taken on his own persona. So we have so much fun with him. He's been not all around the world, but he's done America. We've been to Paris. I've got photos of him at the Grand Canyon, the Eiffel Tower, outside of Buckingham Palace, you name it, he's been there. So thank you. I'm Michelle Burke, Being Connected. And watch his space for Travelling with Cardboard Paul and his Conversations with Paul on Facebook.
Yeah, the suit doesn't look so good with all that gaffer tape.
No, it doesn't.
Sophia. I'm not sure what Sophia will read, so she can tell us.
So this is a poem about an autumnal tree. I was here but a week ago, and your leaves were green. Now they're yellow, brown, with flecks of gold and breath in between. How beautiful we think you are, how beautiful you stand. Stillness in your core and sky tucked in your hands. How beautiful you watch over the creatures in your care. You are a mother to many, and for any, all your time to spare. Soul reflected in the waters below, a giver of life who reaps what she sows, silently blessing each moment as she grows, silently blessing this moment as she glows. Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. I also wanted to remind people, if anyone's interested, a few people in the room have done our book camp. It's a 2-day intensive, really intensive weekend of planning and writing your book, as well as learning about the publishing and marketing of it. So that is on the 27th and 28th of April, if you know anyone who can't get to Bali. The Bali one's better, but this one is, it's very much about getting down to work and getting your book project sorted.
Like,
yes?
Busybird TV.
Busybird TV. So every Wednesday morning, usually Les and I get on at 10 o'clock on our Facebook page, and we're talking for about 15 minutes about a topic around writing and publishing. So look out for that. If you can't get on at 10 o'clock, you can just obviously watch it later, because we just post it there and it's up there for good. Has anyone got any announcements? Did you say you had an
Anyone who likes the musical Wicked, St Helena Secondary has the rights to do Wicked this year.
Awesome.
And they're the first high school in the world, I think, or in Australia, to get those rights. And forget whatever you've heard about High School Musical, St Helena was put on a great show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought this is nice and handy. Still in tune.
My dog has fleas.
How does it go again?
My dog has fleas.
Something like that. Where's Oscar?
Sleeping.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Fong. Thanks for having me. Been here a few times. I forgot my first time probably 2 or 3 years ago. Would it be? Yeah. And I just met Kev and Blaise casually a couple of weeks ago, and I did mention, what a marvelous thing that they're doing for this area to have an open mic like this. And it's been going for 5.5 years. So anyway, what I was going to say is I've never told this story before. I heard it only this morning while I was walking. And I thought I'd like to share it with you guys. The stories I've heard tonight is so diverse, and a lot of it are related to what we do, what we want out of life, what we aspire to do but afraid to do it. The story I heard today was about the Wright brothers. Anybody heard about the Wright brothers? Yeah? I think it was Orville Wright and Wilbur. Yeah. Now, the story was they didn't have any money, but they have a passion about aviation, and they were going to put something, to fly in the air no matter what. They had limited funds, but because of their passion, they've got a group of people working for them. Originally, a big part was working for some other purpose, but eventually the Wright brothers has a group of workers working for them while they going through trying out all the different airplanes. Trying out the aircraft to get it up in the air. At the same time, there was a tycoon at the time with a lot of money, so he was going to do the same thing. But his intention was to get rich and be famous. Whereas the Wright brothers, they had is passion, and they have something in their heart, what they believe in. So a lot of people that used to work for the Wright brothers went across and worked for the big tycoon. And while all this is going, because the tycoon had people working for them just for a paycheck, but the Wright brothers has engineers whom are passionate about the ambition of the Wright brothers. Eventually, they managed to invent aircraft, and because of that has changed history for all of us. And I think what I'm trying to say, the moral of this whole story is follow your passion. because what else is there in life other than your own passion? So from one passion to another passion is writing this song while I was in a place called Malacca in Malaysia. I'm from Malaysia. Now, is there any Greek-speaking person here? Anyone speaks Greek? Yeah. So I was told, don't say Malacca, that's another thing. Is it right? So it's Malacca. So my passion was, I saw this place, I said, look, I took my wife's hand, I said, come on, let me show you Malacca. And this is a story out of it. Jonker Street, Malacca trees. It's a narrow street with a history. She wants the land of the Portuguese. And then came the Dutch from across the sea. Well, people there are children of these breeds. Well, over time they sow their seeds and searching life for the ultimate spice. They all came to Jonker Street. Jonker Street where the cultures meet. Jonker Street where the traders greet. Jonker Street's still the place to be. Come and taste the life in Jonker Street. Now here's another story. Then the Chinese came, husbands and wives, in their sailing ships with the silk and rice, the tale of the Sultan and the Siamese king. Well, these are the stories that Malacca brings. Now sing with me. Jonker Street is where the cultures meet, yeah? Jonker Street where the cultures meet. Jonker Street where the traders greet. Jonker Street where the traders greet. Jonker Street's still a place to be. Jonker Street's still the place to be. Come and taste the life in Jonker Street. Take a river cruise to see what I mean. Hear the stories of where others have been, and taste them on your curries if you are keen. Well, Jonker Street, the night comes alive. Nearly every street won't blow your freaking mind. No. Never mind about those days right. Go treat yourself. It's time to unwind. Sing with me once more. Jonker Street. Jonker Street where the cultures meet. Jonker Street where the traders greet. Jonker Street where the traders greet. Jonker Street's still a place to be. Jonker Street's still a place to be. Come and taste the life in Jonker Street. Won't you go on down to Jonker Street? Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Jimmy. Now I've stuffed up. That was meant to be the last one, but I forgot Joan, the most important person in the room. Oh, yes. So Joan, will you come up and read for us, please?
My offering is a very tiny, weeny one. But I must ask first, are there any policemen in the room?
Could be something formal.
I belong to a group and we get a challenge every so often. And the first challenge was confession. My life of crime didn't really start till I was about 7. Being the new girl in the class, I chummed up with Betty, or rather she took me under her wing. She was a bit of bossy boots and didn't think twice about giving me a good punch if I didn't agree with her. I stuck with her. There wasn't much else offering. We were both latchkey kids that had our house key tied around the neck on a piece of string so we could enter the empty house after school. With time on our hands and no one to count to for a while, we went roaming. My initiation took place at the counter of the local coal store. The old-fashioned elongated counters, everything displayed, and nothing over 2 and 6 everywhere. I was instructed to move down the counter a bit, pretend to be interested in the goods on display, distract the attendant while Betty sidled up to the sweets counter and snaffled a handful of goodies. Of course, legally on that occasion, I was only aiding and abetting, which I now understand is a serious offence, can land you in jail. None of this entered my mind, and the sweets were very enjoyable on the way home. Life went on as I moved from school to school, and temptation didn't sneak up on me for a year or two, until another friend and I were standing before a sweet shop arrayed with mouth-watering selection of lollies. Such was my descent into the dark reaches of crime that memory took over. Repeating the detailed approach learned from Betty, I introduced my innocent companion to the murky crime of pilfering. On this occasion, I was the perpetrator, she the aider and abetter. Had I set her upon a life of crime also? Many years later in adulthood, I was driving past the location of the erstwhile lolly shop when conscience stung me. Having lost the desire to pilfer other people's property and certainly had no taste for sickly lollies, I was stabbed with the urge to make amends. Approaching the site, I found the lolly shop was now a barber shop. I wondered if we kids had proved too much for him in the end. I did make my peace with the powers that be. After all, I tried. Now this one we were challenged on when I opened the door. When I opened the door, it was chaos. We had returned from our shopping expedition. I hopped out of the car My husband came up after me. I approached the front door. My heart stopped. The door was already opened. It was held ajar by the short chain. Do you want to hear any more?
Yeah, keep them.
Someone was in there. Bracing myself and taking a deep breath, I assumed my deepest voice and yelled through the gap, "Look out, we're coming in!" I thought it would scare the intruder out the back door. Unhooking the chain, we stepped in together. What a mess. All was silent. They had successfully left with their trophies. Cupboard doors were open, cushions scattered all over the floor, the crystal cabinet half empty, the small-sized grandfather clock was lying on the settee, obviously too awkward on second thoughts. Or had we disturbed them? I glanced over to the side porch door. It was open. There was glass scattered all over the floor. Groaned my guilt-laden husband. Barely a week ago, I had commented, if I was going to rob this place, I'd just smash a pane in the porch door and turn the lever. Had my careless remark floated through the ether and lodged in some nefarious ear? Yes, I'd better fix a decent lock to that door, my spouse had replied. We had recently moved from a small country town where no one bothered to lock up. The procrastination proved costly. The TV was missing from their rumpus room. The movie camera, the computer, the stereo were no longer in the study. Upstairs, the bedrooms were a sight. Wardrobes' doors flung wide. Every drawer was askew or on the floor. Clothing was everywhere. Nothing had been left unhandled. We felt utterly violated. The police investigated, but we never did have the satisfaction of knowing who had perpetrated this awful intrusion. The insurance claims were successfully met. It took quite a while to put all the handled clothing through the wash, but a much longer period to regain our equanimity. However, a lock was fastened to the porch door without any delay. And I think if my mother was here, she'd say, you had your up-and-comings.
Thanks, Joan. Kevy, have we got the tickets? Everyone want to get their tickets out? So Les and I actually won't be here for open mic night next month because Les will be pitching on the 20th of March.
So Cheryl's going to run it. Maybe she won't.
Kev and Oscar will be... Maybe we'll train Oscar to do something. 15.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you sit next to Richard again.
Yes. You told me. You told me to sit next to Richard.
Okay, thank you for all coming. The 20th of March will be our next open mic night. Feel free to hang around, have a cuppa or some wine or champagne. We've got about 5 bottles of champagne that we've just accumulated over time. And so feel free to dig in. Thank you.